Good afternoon, wherever you are, wherever you may be. This is 4046. It's the second attempt at recording a video because in the last video I sneezed and, well, I think it probably woke me up, to be honest with you. I do apologise about the uploading schedule that is slowed down considerably because I'm in a part of my roster at work where you just seem to purely have the one rest day here, one rest day there, and a lot of work. So I do apologise about that. By the side of me is something that I have been tackling this week, which is my Imperial Knights. Fiddly. That is just, well, that's all I can say really. I've also worked on a Thunderhawk gunship, which is primed, but I've just got to do stuff to it. As you can see, his landing gear is all by the side here. Anyway, I digress. Might talk a little bit about the 80s today, as I don't remember much about the 80s because I was born in the 80s and was growing up in the 80s, so didn't really come of age to the 90s. But 80s were a very strange period of time. I mean, the TV shows at the time, I think my earliest memory of a TV show was probably the 80. I mean, that, I loved it. When you're kids, you don't really think about if anybody gets obliterated in it. Basically, like guns, that was cool. Using machine guns and all that kind of stuff, and making silly things out of not that much, and the van, and yeah, I mean, TV in the 80s was something different. Back then, all we had access to was 4 channels. Channel 4, which started in 1981, and ITV, which I think started in possibly the 60s, but forgive me if I'm wrong. The BBC channels 1 and 2. That's all we had in the 80s. Channel 5 didn't come until 1996, launched by the Spice Girls, of all things. At that time you couldn't get Channel 5 easily, so quite some mad things happened. Obviously, when I was a kid, I didn't think about the Cold War because that was in full swing when I arrived on Earth, and things like the Olympics, I didn't really become aware of the Olympics until 1992. Our household wasn't really a football related household, but you know, there's nothing wrong with that. I found my sport later on, towards my 20s, so anyway, moving swiftly on. Also in the 80s you had cartoons were quite abundant, but what surprised me most is the reruns, because some of these series would only get one series of 13 episodes and that was it, which I only found out later on. So it was just trying to sort of rely on kids' attention spans just to sort of rerun it and then see if the kid can remember it from last time, because it was a repeat. So things were very different then. I mean, the BBC bought lots of the American TV over because it's cheaper. It didn't cost to produce. It's so much. 1987 we got like Star Trek: The Next Generation. I'm not going to talk about Star Trek very much in my videos because it's okay, but it's not. I don't know. It's a bit unrealistic. I think Deep Space Nine, its sibling, did a better job of that. Me and my best mate want to make some videos want to stream some videos at some point when I get a better camera, which hopefully we'll get a new camera this year, and be able to do live streams, so we don't even necessarily need to be in the same area. Be able to do it sort of retrospectively from our locations. That's something I don't know much about at the moment, so watch this space. But I also want to get a better camera so that you can do better things. I mean, luckily with this one you can take it outside, but it has its limits, unfortunately. Power being one of the main problems with this particular camera. So I will get a more powerful camera with also more powerful batteries, etc. To be honest, it's amazing that I've actually filmed what I have with this, so it's very good. But yes, getting back to, sorry about that tangent there, but yeah, some very strange things happened in the 80s. I mean, things like Chernobyl, for example, which I didn't really understand. My child mind couldn't understand how bad. We knew how bad radiation was, but obviously not how far-reaching it could be. We didn't really get it in this area, but there are many areas that got the fallout from Chernobyl, and that's not bashing anybody who, you know, was in Periopat and etc., and it's been done to death. I'll possibly do a video about it at some point. Chernobyl is something that's always interested me, and the architecture of the city. Another horrible thing that happened in 1986 was Challenger. And worse still, with Challenger, was there was a school teacher on board. It just, because of the O-rings in the rocket boosters, it blew up. So all the kids from her class were watching as the shuttle was going up for it to moments later explode, which is probably with them for the rest of their lives, I suspect. And many of them are probably still alive today, I would suspect. Next but not least is things like things like Gorbachev and Reagan. It was such a different time. It was a simpler time. You had no internet. You had no digital media. Well, you did have digital media, but it's not like it is today. Information wasn't instant. Sometimes richer households had things like the Encyclopedia Britannica, which gained more volumes, had a lot of volumes actually. I don't even know how many volumes it had in total. But also you could go to the library. Computers were in their infancy at that time. There was, as I said, there's no internet, so everything was physically there. The computers were massive back then as well, even though the powerful gaming PCs are huge now, bigger than these machines from the 80s. And there had a lot of things happen in the 80s. I mean, it would be quite interesting to start doing perhaps a mini series of events that happened on that day 200, 300, however many years ago, or maybe just fixate on the 80s perhaps. So events that happened during the decade of the 80s. The music in the 80s was radically different. Do apologise about this video because it was a bit more unplanned, but I'm sort of veering more towards the 80s. When I didn't discover Warhammer until the 90s, so that's got nothing to do with this particular video. In that time I was obsessed with Transformers, and you could only get it on videos or comic books or annuals and all that kind of stuff, and did start to peter away in the 90s. It lasted, but it changed. I mean, Generation 1 lasted a long time, and that's the generation of Transformers that I know and love, and many people know and love. Not saying that the other Transformers from other generations are inferior, but you know, it's what you prefer or what you grew up with. I didn't sort of learn to read until 1986, and read a lot of Roald Dahl. Strangely enough, so many of you will know things like George's Marvellous Medicine, the BFG, not to be confused with the BFG from Doom. You know the what I'm talking about, and other Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, The Witches. Oh, really good books, but I think the first science fiction book I read was The Iron Man. It's by Ted Hughes. It was such a that gripped my imagination. I mean, Roald Dahl was good, but it wasn't science fiction. And as I've said many times before, really do enjoy a good bit of science fiction. I'm still making my way through Flowers of Algernon as we speak, but alas, it is just one of those things. Now, this has been a bit of a ramble about the 80s, but I do intend to eventually do 80 videos based on the 80s, and maybe events, and do longer form videos about things in the 80s, and for example music, and maybe then possibly make a sub channel. As I always said, I do want to talk about the 80s and 90s, because as much as the 80s was 30 years ago, you know, well, 25 years ago, no, 30 years ago, 35 years ago even, but no, yeah, as much as it was all that time ago, lots of incredible things happened in the 80s. I mean, World War III almost happened in the 80s. If it wasn't for that Russian guy that looked at the system and said, oh, you know, there's a problem, oh, it's malfunctioning, we won't launch all the nukes, we wouldn't be here today to talk about it. Again, this was a slightly unplanned video. It won't be my best video, I know that, but please like and subscribe. I do continue to try and make some content for you guys out there, and thank you for your support. I wouldn't mind at some point doing ASMR, but that's quite expensive setup wise, and at the moment in this like quagmire of downloads, the most I can sometimes do is 2 a week. There's one gentleman who can do 3 in a week. So yes, I would also like to do a review about a meal ready to eat, which is a battlefield ration, and quite expensive in this country. But I wouldn't mind doing a review just for you guys to see what one's like. I've never had one. I have looked at the prices, they're quite expensive for what they are. Yes, you get your whole meal for the day in them, but yeah. Anyway, please like and subscribe. Really need to start reaching out and telling you what I'm doing videos wise and the content wise, so that you can get a little bit of a better idea. This one's a bit sort of rambly because, again, it's the 80s. Well, it's not the 80s now, but I've just had one of those weeks, well, several weeks, where I've had one rest day here and there, and it's been difficult to make content. Anyway, thank you for your support. This is 46 out. Wherever you are, have